Here's a garden tip.
From our garden to yours.
We all shop at the grocery stores, right? And they seem to be full of food, but is it enough food? How long is it going to last? Well, that could be a problem in Central Florida and throughout the United States, actually. And Richard Tyson, our County Extension Director, joins us and is going to help us, discuss this problem. Richard, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Tom.
Yeah. Now, I shop at the grocery stores. I mean, there's plenty of food there, but, is this a problem, something we should be thinking about?
Well, there's food in abundance in all the grocery stores. It's amazing when you walk down the aisles, the variety and everything.
I know.
But have you ever stopped and looked at where that food's coming from? Where it's being produced, how far it's traveling. There's probably less than 1% of that food that's being produced within 100 miles of Orlando. So you start thinking, well, what would happen if the trucks stopped moving in here for some reason? How long would this food last?
And we've had that problem from time to time. Way back, I remember, might be a strike or something like that, and you worry about the food coming in. Now, this wasn't always the case, was it? I mean, we used to get food locally. I remember being able to go out to the farms and things like that.
Years ago, there was probably over 50,000 acres of fruit and vegetables being produced in Orange County, and that's dwindled down to about 3,500 acres. Yeah. And we have over 1 million people in Orange County now, and when you consider the surrounding counties, it's considerably higher. There is some livestock production still going strong on the east part of the county between Christmas and Deer Park, and that would help a little bit. But when you ask that question of the wholesale grocers and retail grocers here in Central Florida, we have about a 30-day supply of food sitting on the shelves in those warehouses and grocery stores. And if the trucks stopped coming into those docks, that's about as much time as we have to keep the food
I have to smile
available.
a little bit, Richard, because when it's hurricane time, for instance, it seems like it's about 3 days worth because people come in and really clear the shelves off.
That's true. And if there was some major catastrophe, I'm sure the retail shelves would get cleared pretty quickly.
Yeah. Now, what happened to all the local production? I mean, I remember there used to be big farms out there. I remember when there were dairy farms, and we don't have that anymore, do we?
Right. Well, a lot of it went out with the expansion of the urban center, but there were a lot of regulations, government regulations and things of that nature that made it more expensive and impossible to farm, and people just went out of business or sold their land out. And it's gotten pretty serious in terms of what we have available now locally. And I think that we need to be thinking about when we pass regulations or rules, we need to think about the unintended consequences and the adverse effects that it's going to have on agriculture.
What's going to happen to the food supply?
That's correct.
Yeah. So what do we have left produced here? Do we have a dairy? We don't have a dairy farm anymore.
No
we have
dairy.
Beef cattle.
There's quite a bit of beef cattle on the east part of the county. There's about 3,000 acres of citrus still in the county and about 500 acres of vegetables. There's still a large ornamental nursery industry here centered around the northwest part of the county around Apopka, but that's not going to feed us.
Yeah. So how can we go about improving the food supply then?
Well,
what do we do?
I think we need to be intentional about buying locally grown produce. When you go into the stores, seek out locally grown produce. Go talk to your grocer if you can't find any and say, can't we get some locally grown produce into this retail grocery section? And that will increase demand, and hopefully local producers will produce more, and that might encourage more people to get into it.
Are the farmers markets making up for any of this? I know you were very active in farmer markets at one time.
There's a lot more farmers markets out there now than there has been, and they do try to intentionally get local producers in, but that's why when you go to these markets, you need to ask the vendors, do you produce this food yourself? Where are you getting this food? Because occasionally they'll just buy off the wholesale counters and trucks that are coming in, and it may not be local.
May not local,
but
yeah, it sounds
usually,
like it, yeah.
Usually you can find 1 or 2 in the farmers markets, or 3 that are local. Winter Park is a good one. It has a lot of local producers, and that's on Saturday. And then the Lake Eola Market in downtown Orlando has local producers there as well.
Yeah, very quickly, what can you and I do, me as a homeowner, me as gardeners, is that helping out?
That does. If something does happen, it would be helpful if you knew how to grow some vegetables. Maybe you had a few growing in the backyard. Obviously, you can't grow all the food you need, but if you had some experience there and you could start doing that yourself, you would have some food coming in. And the Cooperative Extension Service offers monthly classes on how to produce vegetables and fruits. And you may want to look that up.
I can get that information off our website and also give a
correct.
call to the office. Richard Tyson, thanks a lot. I appreciate it. I have a big basket of onions and a big basket of sweet potatoes. Hopefully it'll get me through those, well, more than 30 days. But call the Extension Service if you want more information on our food supply and what you can do about it.